What's up guys, in today's video we're going to be going over a in-depth tutorial and beginner's guide for Battlefield 6. I grew up on Battlefield 3 and 4 and I'm so glad that Battlefield is fully back in its glory and people are enjoying it. So if you're new to the game or just want to relearn some of the basics, this video is for you. Gotta admit, it's not looking good for us right here. Make sure you hit that like button so we can win this fight. Don't forget to also share to your friends so that they can learn too. Alright, we'll start off with going over the different game modes that are available in multiplayer. So to start us off, we have the good old Conquest, which is a large-scale battle, sometimes with vehicles, sometimes not with vehicles. But there's going to be a bunch of points on the map that you're trying to fight over dominance of, so you're trying to capture these different points as a team. And by holding those capturable points and killing the enemy, you will wear down their tickets, which we'll go over tickets later, but you'll wear down their tickets to the point where you can win. We also have Rush returning, which is an attack and defend game mode, where the attackers are trying to plant bombs on a site and the defenders are trying to prevent that bomb or disarm it if it is placed. They'll both be fighting over only 2 objectives at a time and you'll progress through the map. One big thing to note is that attackers only have a set amount of tickets or lives that they can use, so make sure that you wait and get revived, and we'll cover that further in the video. Next we have Breakthrough, which plays out almost exactly like Rush, except for instead of trying to plant defend bombs, you're just trying to capture an objective. Then we have Escalation. It starts off very similar to Conquest. You're trying to fight for objectives. The game mode's played out in phases. Each phase has a winner and a loser based on who has dominance of the sectors. The winner will get 1 point. The first team with 3 points wins. And as you can imagine, with fewer points means more intense fighting. There's also game modes that are infantry only, like Squad Deathmatch, Team Deathmatch, King of the Hill, and Domination. There's also talks of having a Battle Royale and more like Strike Point and Sabotage in the future. Remember this? Let's see if we survived. So in Battlefield 6 there's 4 main classes and we're going to start with Assault. You'll notice new to Battlefield 6 each class has a training path. If we take a look at the Assault one, we'll see we have the Breacher and Frontliner. And the Breacher gives us extra grenades, makes us better at shooting on the move, faster reloads, and can enable a temporary adrenaline effect for you and your squad mates. Now if we move over to the Frontliner, every time a squad mate spawns on you or your spawn beacon, they'll get a 2-second adrenaline rush. You will have a reduced impact from falling or jumping from heights. The passive health regeneration triggers 50% faster and provides 50% improvement on healing. And again, the active ability that you can turn on where you and your squad mates get adrenaline rush. The Assault class has the gadget Adrenaline Injector, is proficient with assault rifles, and has the mission focus trait, which increases the speed of actions like arming and disarming objectives and shortens the cooldown for squad mates to redeploy on you. Go ahead and take a look at the primary. So in Battlefield there's a couple different weapon classes: Assault, Carbine, SMG, LMG, DMR, Sniper Rifle, and Shotgun. Something that's really important to know: in an open weapon server you can bring any of these, but in a closed weapon server you can only bring what your class's specialty is. So for this class it would be Assault Rifle, and all 4 classes can also bring the Carbines, DMRs, and Shotguns. Pistols are pretty simple at the moment. Each class also has 2 gadgets. First gadget is another primary. The second gadget is quite a range, so you have the Assault Ladder, a few different types of grenade launchers, a spawn deploy beacon, and then the SS-26. Looks vaguely similar to the M26 Dart, if you know what I mean. On the grenades, we get the option between frag, stun, and flash grenade, and all soldiers get to choose between the combat knife, sledgehammer, and hunting knife at the moment. The engineer gets a repair tool as their gadget, SMG proficiency, and has the mechanized infantry trait, which reduces the explosive damage when friendly vehicles are nearby and also prevents enemies from jumping in if all of the passengers exit. Now we'll go ahead and take a look at the training path. The engineer's training paths are Anti-Armor and Combat Engineer. Anti-Armor gives the engineer extra rockets, 15% faster reload time with launchers. If they manage to damage an enemy vehicle, it reduces their repair effectiveness by 50% for 10 seconds. And they can enable the repair tool to fix 50% more efficiently for 10 seconds. Similarly, the Combat Engineer, repairing friendly gadgets will permanently increase their maximum health. Heat buildup of gadgets like the torch and vehicle weapons is 50% slower. Occupying a vehicle will regenerate its health faster as long as it's above its critical damage state. And again, they can enable the repair tool to fix 50% more efficiently for 10 seconds. Because the engineer is proficient with SMGs, it is recommended to use those. The engineer also has 2 gadgets. They can choose between a variety of launchers, supply crate, anti-tank mine, advanced anti-tank mine, EOD bot, which is great for rush game modes, and the M4A1 Slam, another anti-tank mine. For the second gadget, they have to select from the same gadget pool, and they cannot select the same gadget twice. For throwables, they have a frag grenade, anti-vehicle grenade, and mini grenade. Again, they have the combat knife, sledgehammer, and hunting knife, same with all of the classes. Now we'll go ahead and take a look at support. They get the supply bag, which will heal and rearm friendlies. They are LMG proficient, and the squad supplies trait allows other squad members to interact with the support player to get health and ammunition. Go ahead and take a look at the training path. We have combat medic and fire support. The combat medic can drag down soldiers 20% faster and revive them 2.5 seconds quicker. Reviving down teammates triggers a passive health regeneration. Incoming damage will temporarily halt this effect for 1 second. Defensive gadgets have a 25% increased resupply rate. The GPDIS intercepts 2 more projectile. The MP APS tracks for an extended 5 seconds. And the deployable cover takes 10% less damage from every hit. You can trigger an effect to resupply and heal nearby friendly forces for 10 seconds, which also makes the revive time only 1.7 seconds. With the fire support path, we get faster ammo resupply when using the supply bag, 25% reduction on incoming explosive splash damage while prone or shooting from mounted positions, improved weapon control when shooting from mounted positions, and the same resupply allies trait. They're most proficient with LMGs, so that's what you should use. Go ahead and take a look at their gadgets. So they can choose between the defibrillator, GPDIS, MPAPS, a mortar system, a smoke launcher, an incendiary airburst launcher, deployable cover, and the supply pouch. And again, the gadget pool is shared between the 2 gadget selections. For throwables, we have the frag grenade, smoke grenade, and incendiary grenade. The same melee weapons as the other classes, the combat knife, sledgehammer, and hunting knife. Now we'll go over to the recon class. They get a motion sensor, sniper rifle proficiency, and the aim spot trait, which automatically spots enemies for your team whenever you aim your sights at them. And taking a look at the training path, we have the sniper and spec ops paths. The sniper path allows us to have improved auto spotting range with a 33% increased distance and 10% wider angle of detection from enemy crosshair. Spotting an enemy also lasts 3 seconds longer. If you inflict damage on an enemy, it'll spot them, marking their position on the map for your team. Hitting an enemy with a headshot will kill them and they will not be able to be revived. And for your ability, you can call in a UAV to shadow you in a 100-meter radius and spot any enemy combatants for 60 seconds. We'll go ahead and take a look at Spec Ops. Stealth makes them quieter when crouched or prone. Also applies when performing takedowns on enemy combatants. Gadget Awareness allows them to spot enemy gadgets, marking their position in the world and in the minimap. Doesn't work while you're sprinting though. Going prone will allow you to clear your combat state 1.5 seconds faster and reduce your spotted state duration by 33%. And again, you can call in that UAV for a 100-meter radius for 60 seconds. And again, Recon is proficient with sniper rifles, so those are preferred. For gadgets, the Recon can choose between the laser designator, the Recon drone, tracer dart, claymore, sniper decoy, and C4 explosives. All of these gadgets are actually pretty good, and if you want me to make another video on these specifically or anything else, I can do that. For throwables, they have the frag grenade, proximity detector, and a throwing knife, which is pretty cool. And again, same melee weapons as the others. Now we'll get into character customization. So if we click this on any of our classes, we can choose between a few different squad skins. If we click X, we can customize our character further. So we can choose between different skin packs for those squad-based skins. And if we're curious, we can look at that character's bio with Z, as in Zulu. And we can also check out that unit details with C, as in Charlie. The appearance menu looks pretty similar, but we can actually select patch that'll be displayed on our character. And you can press F as in Foxtrot to switch between NATO and Pax Armada. It's important to make sure that you customize both. They have different skins. Now we'll take a look at vehicle customization. So in the game, there's main battle tanks, infantry fighting vehicles, light transports, anti-air, attack helis, transport helis, attack jets, and fighter jets. We'll start with main battle tanks. You can select a primary and alternate round, and you can choose between MPAT rounds or multi-purpose, armor piercing, anti-personnel, high explosive, and aim guided. For the secondary, you can select between coaxial LMG and a coaxial HMG, which are light and heavy machine guns. Most vehicles will have an equipment slot and an upgrade slot. For equipment, you can choose between thermal blocking smoke, projectile interception system, and emergency repair. The projectile interception system will stop enemy missiles, shells, rockets, grenades, and bombs coming your way. Any emergency repair does exactly what it sounds like. It will repair a fraction of your vehicle's health. For upgrades, you can choose between field maintenance, which enables faster vehicle health recovery, reinforced plating, which adds extra armor to the tank, enhanced loading, which will load rounds into your tank faster and has better heat recovery, and improved handling, which increases turn rate and aiming speed. For the gunner, we can choose between a heavy machine gun, light machine gun, and grenade launcher. And for the gunner's equipment slot, we can choose between a smoke wall launcher and a countermeasure system that'll detect mines and C4, enabling the player to destroy them. Now onto the IFV, or infantry fighting vehicle. For the primary, we can choose between high explosive, anti-personnel, and armor piercing. For the secondary, we can choose between an aim-guided rocket, lock-guided rocket, and light rockets. For equipment 1, we can choose between smoke generator, thermal blocking smoke, and emergency repair. For equipment 2, we can choose between a threat detector that detects nearby soldiers and enemy vehicles, and a counterfire radar, which when activated will find the source of incoming damage and spot them. For the upgrades, we have field maintenance, targeting jammer that slows down the enemy's ability to acquire a lock-on, reinforced plating that has more resistance to damage but reduces your max speed and acceleration, and a systems upgrade which allows for faster cooldowns for equipment in slot 1 and increases range and duration for equipment in slot 2. For the remote weapon, we can choose between a light machine gun, heavy machine gun, and grenade launcher. Right now the gunner upgrade is locked to being a target designator. They also have a smoke wall launcher. For the light transport, we have a mounted MG. For the anti-air, we can choose between a primary of multi-purpose, high velocity, and anti-armor. For secondary, we only have anti-air missiles at the moment. For our equipment slot, we can choose between thermal blocking smoke and emergency repair. For the upgrade, we can choose between a systems upgrade, which has faster cooldown on equipment and increased radar range, optimized handling, which increases turn rate and aiming speed, enhanced loading, giving faster reloads, which will deactivate if the vehicle is damaged, and targeting jammer, which slows down the enemy's ability to acquire a lock-on, clears the vehicle's spotted markers sooner, and reduces its heat signature in thermals. For the upgrade slot, it's locked to having a radar system. Onto the attack heli. For primary, we can choose between aim-guided, which will follow your crosshair, and can lock on to laser designations. Light rockets, which do less damage but are great for infantry, and heavy rockets, which it'll carry less of but do more damage and it's great against vehicles. For the secondary, we can choose between anti-air missiles and aim-guided missiles, which are great for vehicles. In the equipment slot, we only have flares at the moment. In the equipment 2 slot, we can choose between emergency repair and target detection, which tracks and identifies the location of enemy infantry and vehicles nearby. One important thing to know is that the heli will be more vulnerable to lock-on weapons when the system's active. For the upgrade, we can choose between a radar system, heavy warheads that increase the blast radius and lethality of your primary weapon, targeting interference, which slows down the enemy's ability to acquire lock-on. If you get spotted, it'll clear your mark sooner, and this will deactivate if you move too slowly. And then improved armor, giving you protection against most infantry weapons. The gunner has access to an autocannon and a lock or aim-guided missile. For the transport heli, it gets flares, emergency repair, and 2 mounted miniguns. The attack jet gets an autocannon, aim-guided missiles, flares, aim-guided bombs, and a radar system. And lastly, the fighter jet gets an autocannon, flares, aim-guided bomb, and a radar system. Now we'll talk about vehicle skins. So if you click up here, you can choose between skins and decals. So if we click skins, we can see a good variety of different camos, and then skins are kind of these pre-made, pre-configured setups for the tank. And then for decals, you can select things that will be painted onto the tank. And another very important feature about these vehicles is the loadout system. So you can set up to 3 different loadouts of the vehicles. So my loadout 1 is really catered for anti-infantry with the high explosive and light rockets. Then my loadout 2 is really catered for anti-vehicle with my armor-piercing rounds and lock-guided missiles. And if we go to our settings, we go ahead and take a look at graphics. Scroll down to find field of view. You want to set this between 90 and 100. Vehicle third-person view, we go ahead and max that out. Weapon field of view, I would use wide. Weapon motion blur, you're going to want to turn that down to 0. World motion blur, turn that down to 0. Camera shake, turn that down to 50. And some people would want to turn off vignette and film grain. If you're having a hard time enjoying the audio in the game, you can go to audio, scroll down, find the audio mix, bring it over to War Tapes or War Tapes VAL. I use War Tapes VAL, and I really enjoy the sound quality of the game. One thing to touch on as well is customization of weapons. So if you go to your weapon, you can press X, go to your customization. Every weapon up here has a max budget of 100. You can customize your sight, things mounted to your gun, your muzzle, your barrel, grips, mags, types of ammo, additional optics, and even ergonomics. Things that I would focus on, especially as a new player, is your optics. Pick an optic that works well for you. Suppressors, I do recommend. It helps to conceal you and keep you off the map. Grips help a lot, especially with the hipfire and precision and control of the weapon. Ammo can be quite important. So the standard ammo, you can get higher penetration ammo, lightweight ammo, hollow point, which will increase headshot damage, frangible ammo, which will delay the target's health regen. Then this menu, you can also do camos for your weapon. Charms mounted to the weapon. And stickers. Every weapon has this detail screen here. We can press C and view it larger. We have our damage, which is the base damage of every round that hits. Your rate of fire, which is how fast the gun shoots. Your mag, so how many bullets are in your mag. We have a 30 round mag. Hip fire, and this relates to the precision of fire when you're hip firing, so when you're not aimed in. Your precision, so this is when you are aimed in, how much spread is going to be on your rounds. Your control, which is basically how much recoil up, down, and right and left there's going to be. And then your mobility, which is weapon movement and ADS time. Your fire modes, so this gun has auto or single. You can switch fire modes with B. Your reload time, so how much time it takes to reload. And knowing that we have that 2.384 second reload time, you know, maybe we would want say a bigger mag, a 40 round mag, so we have more ammo to use before we have to, you know, sit there and wait for 2 seconds to reload. You have your muzzle velocity, which is how fast the rounds go out of your gun. This is very helpful, especially for longer range shots, you know, timing that shot perfectly. Your ADS time in, which is exactly how long it takes for you to aim in. Your headshot multiplier, which for this gun is 1.34, so it's going to be 1.34 times 25 to get how much damage a headshot does with this specific kit. And with every kit, you can bring it to the firing range. You can take a look at it, you know, hip fire a little bit. ADS. One good thing to know is when you're ADSing, you can hold F on keyboard and you'll mount your weapon to a surface, and this gives you a lot more accuracy. Now for those longer shots, you're gonna want to press B as in Bravo to switch you over to semi. And you know, if we mount it up here, you get that longer shot a lot better. If we compare that on full auto and we mount it up. And I will just go over kind of a special case really quick, which is the sniper. So scopes are very important. Any scope with a magnification of 6 or over will have scope glint, so you'll basically look like a little flashlight for the enemies. So just something to keep in mind. I highly recommend doing an offset sight for those close quarters fights where maybe you don't want to use that 6 times or more. What you could get instead of that canted sight, if you're only going to be doing long range engagements, is this anti-glare, and that will reduce the amount of glare that the enemy sees whenever you're sighted in, which is a very, very useful gadget. There's a good variety of muzzle attachments. I recommend a suppressor or some sort of flash hider. Every time you shoot, you'll be spotted on the map for less time. You can select different barrels. You might want an extended barrel, will increase the bullet velocity. The rangefinder is extremely useful, and we'll get to that in a second. Bipod is super useful as well, especially for setting up for those long range shots. And ammo is very important for this. So you can get your standard ammo, long range, or maybe you want penetration or frangible. So again, it will delay the health regen of whoever you hit. And you can also get some ergonomics for this. So you can get this ADS bolt, which will cycle the bolt while you're still ADS, so you don't have to un-ADS. And if we take a look at this in the firing range, you might notice that we have a little bit of sway. If you hold shift, we'll take a breath and that'll steady up quite nice. If we ADS and hold F again, just set up our bipod. So we have our bipod set up. So maybe we're just performing Overwatch of our team. Oh, we see a target, we're gonna sight in and get that headshot on him. Now, with the rangefinder, we find our target and we hold B as in Bravo. We'll see on the right side that our sight just changed to 104 meters. For a longer shot, it would obviously change for that longer shot, but it'll auto zero your sight. So you can hit that shot every time. You can also manually set your range if you don't have the rangefinder. So you can press B, 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 and that will cycle through all the different range settings for your scope. One important thing to know is if you don't have that ADS upgrade, every time you shoot, if you let go, you'll rack the next round in, or you can shoot and then click shoot again and it'll rack the next round in. One important thing to keep an eye out for is open versus closed weapons. So this is a closed weapon, which just means is that your class will only be able to use the specific type of weapons that I was talking about earlier. So like Assault won't be able to bring in a sniper rifle, or Recon won't be able to bring in an assault rifle or something like that. There's also the community tab, which has entirely community-made game modes and servers, so go ahead and check this out. Some of these are really, really great for grinding. Some other quick things, if you're sprinting and you double tap C, you will slide. It's great for going around a corner really quick, trying to throw people off guard. You can use close quarters battles, so like squad deathmatch and team deathmatch, to really grind weapon attachments faster. I really suggest dragging your squad mates or teammates behind cover to revive them, so that you can both be protected. If you have a knife out, you can run faster, which can be useful if you're trying to evade sniper fire or something like that. You're trying to get between points of cover. Make sure that you use destruction to your advantage. You know, breach a building somewhere that would be to your strategic advantage. Don't always go right through the front door. This game highly, highly encourages you to play as a team. Make sure that, you know, if you're engineer, you are repairing tanks, you are engaging tanks, you're laying down mines, you're trying to play the objective. If you're assault, you're the point person. You should be the front person of your squad, breaching the doors, clearing the rooms, and then your squad follows behind you. If you're support, make sure that you're reviving your teammates, you're refilling them on ammo, and if you're recon, make sure that you are being that Overwatch. You're marking enemies, you're letting your squad know when enemies are nearby, and you're taking out those long shots. And obviously, stick with your squad. This game is best played if you're with your squad, supporting your team on the objective. Kills alone will not win you the game outside of, obviously, team deathmatch. One thing to know is suppression will disable the health regeneration of you or your enemy. So if you're being suppressed, which is someone shooting near you, then you will not regen health unless someone drops you a support kit. If you get downed, try to make sure that you hold E and wait to be revived so that you don't lose tickets. Console players, you guys can actually turn off crossplay if you are sick of playing with us PC people. Real quick breakdown of how tickets work. In almost all these game modes, you're going to see tickets, and if there's objective-based games like Conquest, whoever has the majority of the objectives is going to start depleting enemy tickets, so very slowly. Also, if you get killed and respawn, your team will lose a ticket for that respawn. That's why it's very, very important to wait and get revived, because if you get revived, you will not lose that ticket. Very, very important, especially for a game mode like Rush or Breakthrough. You can hit your crouch key just as you're about to hit the ground to do a front flip, and that way you won't take fall damage. Obviously, this doesn't work from way too high up, but it's very helpful for moderate falls. I believe that kind of covers a pretty basic beginner's guide. If there's anything I missed, let me know and I'll be sure to add it. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and again, like and share for your friends, and I will catch you guys on the next one.